We are back. Same rules as last time. No damage, no money, no XP, harder enemies, all bosses. Let's go. So we left off last time fighting Apollo, and now we're on to Chapter 4. In Chapter 4, there are approximately 4 bosses to kill. Meister Kotaro, Ping King Dakara, Infected Digmo, and Driller. So, which do we go for first? Infected Digmo and Driller are both in the Temple Mine, so I want to do those last since I plan on beating Emily in the dungeon race, so we can't just leave halfway through. It isn't also required for the challenge, but I just feel like beating Emily. Ping King Dakara can't be fought until I get the heat element, and that takes place in Temple Mine, so that's also off the table. This means the first boss we're taking down is Meister Kotaro. Meister Kotaro is a secret boss many people don't know about. To fight him, you have to go to the main menu and go to the code screen and enter the code Holiday Man. This will spawn Holiday Man in Bergen Village. After giving a bunch of gifts to people throughout the world as part of the quest, a cave opens up that lets you fight the Meister. For this fight, I used the proper top hat from the fancy top hat quest. Rock Splitter can be found in Bergen Trail alongside Swift Spike and Assault Vest from earlier. The easiest way to fight this boss is to use heat and abuse its 50% weakness to that element. Obviously we can't do that because we don't have heat, so we'll just have to power through. He's just a stronger version of a Kotaro, so for phase 1, try to stay at range to dodge the stream of snowball attacks and his triple shot, and then when the snowballs start falling you can break him by dealing damage and then combo him for free. The only real obstacle in this phase is pushing him or yourself into one of the pits on the side, as well as his jump attack at the end of his break state that can easily hit you. In phase 2, the fight gets a bit harder. He chains attacks with less delay in between them, and a new icicle attack that shouldn't really hit you, assuming you're positioning correctly. And with that, Meister Kotaro is defeated without too much of issue. 3 remain, and only one of them can be tackled next. Continuing through the mines without any obstacles, with the same gear as last time, we arrive at Infected Digmo. Throughout the Temple Mines, there are many Digmo mini-bosses, but this one is unique. It has a triple slam attack that will send icicles to its left, then right, and then Leah. If you let it, this forms a cage that will trap and kill you. Either break the initial line of ice and then move through the opening, or have enough distance so that it just doesn't matter. Dodge the charge attack when it happens, but keep your distance from the ice line and you should be fine. When possible, use one of the heat orbs around the arena to ignite and break the Digmo. Once broken, you're presented with a choice to either keep hitting the mid-boss or kill the fleezers around it to revert it to a regular Digmo temporarily. So obviously we just deal with the slightly harder patterns and actually kill the thing. We don't have time for all that. Just kill it. Done. Just like that. The next boss on the agenda is XO1 Driller. Holy fucking shit, it's time for a real fight. On a normal playthrough, this is a neat puzzle boss to capstone the end of the dungeon, but here, it's a different puzzle entirely. To start, swap out Swift Spike and Rookie Boots for Winterclaw and Ancient Sandals that I just found lying around in the dungeon somewhere. Driller will always open up with a Frostbite that can be easily dodged by going above the wheel saw, and you might as well smack the shielding while you're there. After that, it will always fire 2 bombs that you can hit into the shielding. Do it early enough and you can get a bit more damage in, but if you do this too fast, there's going to be a gap between you and Driller that you can fall off the platform. It will then charge up a flamethrower attack that can be dodged by moving to the top left of the map, or just hit the core if you want to be fancy. After that, it'll cycle between bombs, flamethrower, ice saw, and rock slam at random, and to dodge the falling rocks you can either use the ice at the bottom of the map or just good movement. Just don't panic dodge and it'll be fine. On to phase 2, and Ice Saw has been elevated to Ice Punch. Kite to the top left corner while taking out the shards that spawn to clear up the map a bit. If you end up on the right side somehow, pray. The Rock Slam will now be followed up by attacks, so be careful and just kite a bit more carefully than you would be in the first place. The rocks are only as much of a problem as you let them be. Now it will spawn 4 bombs and it takes 3 to break the shielding. This should still be relatively doable in one cycle. In addition, it'll jump back shortly after the shielding is broken, which will protect it from some melee damage. Just fire projectiles. When I don't get the shield break, I have to make sure to send the bombs into the walls, or the flamethrower will send the bombs at me whenever it does the flamethrower attack. Phase 3 is where things start to get tricky. Now the Driller will send out 6 bombs at once and you need 5 to break the shielding. This makes the break significantly harder to do in just one rotation, so commonly you're going to get 3 to 4 and then I send the bombs into the walls so that the flamethrower can't kill me. No, the attack that managed to make this boss go from a 30-minute fight to a 2.5-hour fight is the new flamethrower. For you see, now the flamethrower sweeps the entire stage. You can no longer dodge it by just going to the top left. Your immediate thought might just be, hey, why not just go to the top right and follow along the flames? But yeah. So that can't be it, right? He always does that attack after a break, and I don't have the damage to just kill him outright. A few more attempts at dodging and nothing. Finding a gap in the flames, they go too fast. Using iframes to dash to the fire, its spread is a bit too wide, maybe it's doable, but it seems a bit unreliable. Blocking the flames, without riposte, it means I can't parry the follow-up fire, and blocking kills me with no damage anyway. So, is this it? Well, I'm not going to stop there. Surely someone else has beaten the game with no damage before. Yep. See, there's a video right here. All bosses, no damage. It must be pos. Oh. So it's not possible. You just have to block, and I can't block damage because that counts as taking damage. Well, guys, I guess this challenge isn't possible. See you next time in my Borderlands is what a coward would say. I ain't no puss. There's gotta be a way. So, after another full hour of fighting the boss, I finally figure out a consistent way to dodge the flamethrower. Run all the way to the top right. That's it. Okay, not really, but basically. You have to go as high as you can on the top right, standing on the very last top pixels on the ledge. If you go a bit lower than that, there's still a chance that the flames from the flamethrower will hit you, but if you go a bit higher, you just fall off the map and die. So, with that, several more attempts later, and Driller is defeated. I say hi to Emily, gloat that I beat her in the race somehow, and it's time to move on to the last fight in Chapter 4. The last Chapter 4 boss is Pang King Dakara. Just come up here, melt some ice, and it's time to fight. This fight is very heavy on shooting, so I take off the assault vest and replace the swift spike with the copper gall for the shooter modifier that increases the damage of ranged attacks. It's time to fight my least favorite boss so far, and one of the most poorly designed bosses in this entire game. For King Pang Dakara, nearly the entirety of the field is covered in ice. Fun! Everyone's favorite game mechanic is ice physics, so who wouldn't want to do an entire boss fight like this? To damage King Pang, you just have to kill the Pang Pangs to get him to drop down. Pang Pangs have two fairly easy to dodge attacks. A slide attack that has a long windup and can't be stopped, and a snowball attack that throws it at your current position, so easily dodgeable. This is not the thing that makes this a bad fight. When King Pang starts a song to enable a better attack setup, you know what? No, just watch this. Yeah. So if a Pang Pang is already doing an attack when Dakara plays a song, the camera gets wrenched away from you as you have to watch the song. This means you can just get hit from off screen. With ice physics. Fun! And while we're here, I guess this is as good a time as any to explain the intricacies of ice in Crosscode. Just like in other games, Leah keeps all momentum when moving across ice and gains momentum when going in a direction. This means that she moves slower at first but picks up speed to go faster. If you want to move perpendicular to this movement, Leah will curve until the momentum is only going in that direction, and if you want to go in the opposite direction, Leah will slow down, come to a stop, and then start to pick up speed in the new direction you want to go. Dashing is also affected by this momentum, so dashing in an opposite direction will halt all movement instantly, not moving you at all, and dashing with momentum will give a speed boost. Normally, panic dashing in Crosscode is very bad since at the end of the dash, Leah stops moving. On ice, the downside isn't as prominent since Leah can keep sliding forward, but you have the added downside of if you dodge backwards, you don't do anything and probably get hit. A similar thing kind of happens with shooting. Normally, shooting stops your movement outright, but due to the ice physics momentum, you can actually keep attacking enemies while sliding to dodge projectiles. Now that I've explained the difficult subject of ice, it should be easy to see how to properly use it. The ice allows you to constantly dodge attacks while firing back my own, unlike anything else in the game. The attacks themselves aren't even that hard to dodge. You just have to keep in mind to keep going in one direction. I ended up just running in a circle most of the time while peppering the Pang Pangs with balls. And that concludes my TED Talk on ice and its wonderful terribleness and how much I hate this fight. But don't worry, we're not done with Pang King Dakara. So, back to Dakara at the start of the fight or when he gets back on stage. 4 Pang Pangs will spawn, and then you can kill them and he will jump down and spawn 3 more. Every time he spawns Pang Pangs, try to be at either the top left or top right of the arena so that when the new enemies slide in, they don't hit you, because that's a thing they can do. While he is on the stage, circle around the clump of Pang Pangs and focus down any that slide out from the main group. It's important to do this because of the cold song. Cold Song will cause a couple of Pangs to move forward before throwing a snowball. This could cause a difficult to dodge volley if even one of those Pangs are cut off from the rest. The other song he can do is Wave Song, which will cause them to do an empowered slide that is a bit difficult to dodge, but it really isn't that big of a deal. When you finally kill all the ping-pangs and Dakara hops off the stage, he has a stronger slide attack that goes further, and he will throw 3 snowballs in a row instead of the 1. After a certain amount of time, Dakara will jump back on stage. This is fine. It's likely that you're not going to get him in one phase. We just do it again. It's no big deal. Once phase 2 starts, Dakara will summon 8 more pang-pangs. Wonderful, because that's what we needed. This looks scary, but it's actually not that much different. Just strafe around the edges of the arena, focus the stragglers, same deal. Except it's not the same deal. It's not the same deal. So Cold Song, right? Now it has a red aura and it affects every single pang-pang. Also, they each can throw up to 3 snowballs and it's random. So fun. All it takes is a single pang-pang to be near the edge of the arena and suddenly the difficulty you have dodging is multiplied dramatically. Fun. I love this fight. It's wonderful, beautiful, amazing. While off stage in phase 3, Dakara's slide gets empowered by Wave and he can slide around bouncing off walls for way too long, really. It's distracting, it's difficult to predict where he's going because of all the enemies you have to keep track of already, but simply practice for an extra 100 years and Dakara just goes down like that. Wow, I never want to fight Dakara again. And with that, all 4 of the bosses have been defeated, and it's time to move on to the Maroon Desert. But hold on, there's a piece of gear I want first. The weird skates can be obtained through the Bergen Trials. I want this so much because boots don't tend to give good stats at this point, but the weird skates give 5% momentum. Momentum's useful because of the dash cancel combo we use for the majority of our damage, but more importantly, it gives an extra dash. Going from 3 to 4 dashes is so nice, and it's wonderful, and I love it. So, how do we get it? First, we have to go to the Cave of Aspirations and do a series of dodging challenges and jumping puzzles. Easy enough. Then I have to go talk to AZ outside of the Temple Mine and do a little bit of ice platforming. Ice platforming. Little do they know, I am now the god of ice physics after that fight. I will not be stopped by something so paltry. Absolutely defeated. Not even a challenge. Do it fast? Done. Do it with more ice? Done. Weird skates acquired. On to the desert. I shall never be shackled by ice again. Onwards. In Chapter 5, there are 4 main quest bosses to beat: Scarlet Tim, Apollo 2, Sand Terror, and Master Magmoth. There's also 3 side quest bosses in the form of Cursed Sandshark, Guard Bilston, and Smelter Digmo. Out of all of these, there's only one we can fight at the moment, and that is Scarlet Tim. Side note, the Elder calls it a Scarlet Tim, but its actual name is Tim. So the enemy type is called Tim, and the boss is called Tim, which is Scarlet, and it is a Tim that is Scarlet. But boss is named Tim, which is not Tim, but the boss is a Tim, its name just happens to be Tim. That's all I have to say. I will be calling this boss Scarlet. Anyway, Emily had to do a class project, so this time we have Citron in the party, which is nice since Scarlet lets you bring teammates. The equipment this time is the Mighty Strand and Hidden Blade found in Maroon Valley alongside the Tattered Satchel, which can be found in Baki Kun. The weird skates are also going to be replacing the ancient sandals for the foreseeable future. The fight starts with Scarlet being out of reach and a normal Tim on the ground. They'll both fire rocks at you. Make sure to pay attention to the timings because when there's a delay, it means that a big rock with splash damage is going to be dropping down on you. To break a Tim, you deal heat damage to them, and before this break, they take massively reduced damage. Once broken, the Tim will start firing 3 flaming rocks in a row, or if it has the delay, it will fire 1 big rock that shoots out fire trails that chase you. Kill the Tim, and a way up will appear. It is at this point that we abuse game mechanics. If you stand underneath this ledge, nothing Scarlet throws at you can hit you. This means you can just sit back and wait for Citron to break Scarlet without any danger whatsoever. Once broken, it will be on the ground and use the standard broken Tim attacks. Just keep hitting it while not getting hit. Halfway through its health, it'll elevate even higher and summon 2 more Tims. This is the most deadly part of the fight due to all the flaming projectiles. Try not to break both Tims at the same time, and it should be manageable. After both Tims die, the path to Scarlet opens up. Stand under the ledge and wait for Tronny to break it again, and that's that. Scarlet is down, and Tim residue has been obtained. Now we can just head back to the Elder, and it's time for Fajro Temple. Or actually, it's Apollo back for the rematch, because apparently he chooses his rival based on how hard he can punch down. Like seriously, Apollo, you have a 24 level lead on Leah and a glitched character so that all damage kills. You can do better. Anyway, time to destroy this hero of justice. For this fight, same gear as last time, just like the PvP battle, it is first to 5 wins, and while I could just take the L on this one and go to Fajro Temple, I am no coward. Time to bully Apollo. Let's do this. In this fight, Apollo alternates between a melee and ranged fighting style each round. Rushing down Apollo is a fast track to getting countered and punished, so don't do that. For the first round, his ranged style will be throwing balls at Leah from a distance until he gets bored and spams a Xur Strike until he can't. Dodge the balls, dodge parallel to a Xur Strike, punish him. Done. For his melee style, he'll run up to Leah and then do a melee combo into Spin Dance. Parry the first hit to open up a counter window, or dodge it out for the same. In round 2, Apollo switches to Heat but plays mostly the same. At the end of the melee combos, Fire Roll replaces Spin Dance and goes significantly farther, so try to dodge perpendicular and not backwards. At the end of the ranged combo, he will dash forward and burn instead of using a Xur Strike. If you're far enough away, you can just walk in a circle around him, but otherwise you have to dash around him. If he has SP left after the burn, he will use Fire Whirl, stay the course, and it's on to round 3. This time Apollo uses his secret technique. He will keep his distance throwing volleys of projectiles. Before he fires, he will always dash to a new location. So when he does this, you can fire a charge shot at him and dodge twice perpendicularly to Apollo. This should dodge his charge shot while interrupting the secondary balls and dealing a bit of damage. Keep poking him down like this until he reaches 4 SP. When he reaches 4 SP, he will place 4 Ashen Mines around the center of the arena, fire some guaranteed projectiles at him, and stay near the edges. After placing them, he will immediately dash to you. Don't guard this, it's a feint. Dash away several times and wait for him to approach second time. He is going to buffer his melee attack. Keep comboing him and repeat this, although it's easier said than done. In round 4, Apollo gets serious. Instead of running at Leah, he will now dash into her incredibly fast. Be ready for him to do this at any time, and beware the guard because you need to buffer the counter once again. For his range style, he will now throw balls just like in Phase 3, so fire back while dodging. Eventually, he will run to the center and turn yellow. This is when he's going to use Bullet Inferno to fire a large swath of projectiles that all home in on Leah. Luckily, it's telegraphed. Once he runs to the middle and glows yellow, move to the middle distance and then dodge twice around him in a circle as he begins to fire. If done correctly, this should make all of the projectiles fly into the walls and open him up for a counterattack. Round 5 is insane. Apollo is no chill in a large variety of moves that he throws at you non-stop with no openings. Your options are to counter and open up his defenses yourself, or fire balls back when possible. For his range style, he will throw balls until he uses Burn, just like in Phase 2, but then immediately after he's going to hit you with a melee combo followed by Spiral Dance. Reciprocate the balls, dodge the burn, parry the melee, bully him. For his melee style, he will dash at you in Heat, and then will sometimes feint the attack with another dodge before the melee combo. Don't fall for the feint, he usually does that when you're close enough up because he has to use 3 dashes. Also, don't forget you still have to buffer the counter. And so, 6 hours of fighting Apollo later, the score is tied 4-4. Here's the final round against Apollo 2. And here's the proof that he will now use our name. Goodbye, Spheromancer Apollo. You will not be missed.